unplugging from the Matrix here with me. The show will start in just a moment. Don't forget, visit the Echelon platform to get all the amazing merch. Make sure that you are supporting the show by wearing it on your body. We have tons of new merch out there for you guys. So feel free to go get you something that represents you being unplugged from the Matrix and from under the control of the deep state and the Illuminati. The show is about to start soon. Hey everybody, this is Tony Montega, Tony X, Antoine-Tucker. Thank you for being here. The show will start in one moment. So go make sure you take care of the bathroom breaks. Go get your beverage. Get your chips and popcorn. We're about to unplug from the Matrix together. And again, thank you very much for being here. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Montega, Montaga. That is Montega, Montaga. There is only one Montega. There is only one America. There is only one you. And again, thank you for unplugging from the Matrix here with me. The show will start in just a moment. Don't forget, visit the Echelon platform to get all the amazing merch. Make sure that you are supporting the show by wearing it on your body. We have tons of new merch out there for you guys. So feel free to go get you something that represents you being unplugged from the Matrix and from under the control of the deep state and the Illuminati. The show is about to start soon. Hey everybody, this is Tony Montega, Tony X, Antoine-Tucker. Thank you for being here. The show will start in one moment. So go make sure you take care of the bathroom breaks. Go get your beverage. Get your chips and popcorn. We're about to unplug from the Matrix together. And again, thank you very much for being here. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Montega. Due to adult language, themes, and images, I'm gonna warn you, don't have your children around. Please don't let your children hear the language. Please, viewers' discretion is advised. I gave you a warning. Now let's get into the show. Why I can't hear. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because somewhere around the world that is truly what time it is, and I am your host, the dopest political analyst on this planet and the most feared former congressional and senatorial candidate of these United States. Antoine-Tucker, Tony Montega, the truth, the threat, the legend, Neo, the wisest man in the room, and I'm here with you, and we all free. From the Matrix. I want to say thank you very much for being in the building. You are appreciated, every single last one of you here with me today. You're appreciated. Thank you so very much for being here. We're going to go ahead and get into the show. I don't want to hold anyone up, and I'm sorry for me not looking at the screen. I was trying to figure out what was going on with the headset so I could actually hear the punches in and out and so on and so forth. 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, yeah, it's good now. I'm gonna just mute that for right there for right now. All right, so here's some facts about Jeffrey Epstein. Before we even get into that, let's just
talk as a family, right? So a lot of you out there, you don't like me, you don't like my politics, and all of that's cool. I don't personally give a shit. But as your relative, and as I'm here with you, I have to inform you that we're all in danger, no matter how much of your feelings you want to be in. Tons of people want me to talk about the gay NFL stuff and everything else. It's all rigged. So in one breath, I can't be some light-seeking individual and then turn around and sit in front of the idiot box and then believe that those teams that are sitting there playing aren't there specifically to keep me stupid, distracted. It's not of a benefit at all to me. I'm not one of the players making that money, and I don't believe in none of that shit, especially after everything that we witnessed. You guys, we know some of the most gruesome details about Sean P. Diddy, Puff Daddy Combs. How he liked, well, which is alleged, how he liked certain kind of sexual acts. I mean, all type of stuff I don't want to even get into. But long story short, you know about it. They went and set up Michael Jackson, took pictures of this man's genital area. And the news media, everyone was talking about it. I mean, you couldn't stop from hearing about his vitiligo and him possibly having areas on his body that could be different. Fast forward, you don't know shit about none of them people who assaulted all of those childhood actors at Nickelodeon. You haven't seen one trial. I haven't. Seen no mass arrests. You don't see anyone on the left boycotting that list. Begging for that list. The only reason why they brought up Jeffrey Epstein is because Donald Trump brought it up. I don't agree with everything that the president does. I can't. But would I do it if I was in his shoes? How would I know I'm not in his shoes? Neither are you. There are people who think that Donald Trump runs the whole entire government with an iron fist, as if there aren't deep state actors still there right now trying to circumvent everything this man is trying to get done. I can't for the life of me understand how some people believe that within a year's time, he would have everything figured out and sorted out. Yo, you know there's a God in heaven, right? You know that, right? These people have been doing this shit for hundreds of years. Baby pate, human jerky, and then they do this in front of our faces. Mock us. Have these disgusting parties where they have humans laying down and then have cakes created to mimic humans, so when you're carving the cake, it looks as if you're carving flesh. Can't make this shit up. These people are living vampires, man. The descendants of Vlad the Impaler, the very few, 13 families. I couldn't imagine being in a situation that the president is in, because you're faced with some real demonic, centuries-year-old type of evil. No, you can't come out and say you're fighting a bunch of fucking vampires like you Blade the Vampire Hunter, because the news media apparatus that is set up is there to keep the illusion of freedom bombarded on the American people so they can continue to treat us like cattle. And I've been saying this shit for years. Haven't I been saying this shit for years, Noel? Doesn't matter what car you drive. Doesn't matter what your bank account says. They're poisoning everybody. Everybody. Kids going missing. Everybody kid going missing. They wanted everybody to get that COVID shot. Except people who were in Congress that were exempt from getting the shit. You make this make sense. You can't. There was a MCC officer that said he witnessed Jeffrey Epstein leaving out of a prison cell via transport. Then there's also accounts of a van coming in and bringing in a cadaver. Now, I personally believe Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I thought that he killed him. I thought that he was killed in his cell. I said they're not showing stuff. They sent someone in the cell. There was some plausible things that I was seeing. I was like, man, they killed him in the cell, man. That's crazy. I know you cannot move those cameras. For sure you can't move those cameras. But what solidified the fact that they switched the body wasn't just the former correctional officer from blockchain, or whatever that is, 4chat, whatever it is, whatever you guys call that shit. It wasn't just that. So the FBI released a day prior to his murder an official statement on his alleged suicide. Then you have this. Jeffrey Epstein sat in that cell very impatient. He is, because I'm not going to talk about him in past tense. I'm not stupid. He is a man of great means, no matter how evil he is. And we've watched as the American people all got behind expose the files. We want to know all the salacious, horrible shit about these people that conducted themselves with Jeffrey Epstein. And I can tell you one thing, they didn't put most of that shit in there. They have you so focused on the island, and no one is talking about that ranch in in Mexico, where it's alleged to have a great deal of bodies. But this man of great means sat in that cell very impatiently. And you know what he did when he sat in there? Now, this is me psychoanalyzing him. You know why I would do this? Because I sat in that same prison. I swear to God. I sat in that same prison. I did suicide watch in that prison, meaning I was one of the inmates that was charged to do suicide watch on the inmates that was in there. Every 15 minutes, I was charged with entering into a logbook whatever the inmate did. If he got up, if he walked around, if he spoke to me, if he took a drink, if he ate something, if the food was delivered to him, if he bathed in the sink, if he defecated, it doesn't matter. If he turned in his sleep, I put it in a logbook. And I know when someone is on suicide watch, they're not just given a cell full of fucking sheets either. Jeffrey Epstein sat in there, and in order for him to be able to conduct himself, he sat in there with what I believe is a cell phone. Moved a whole bunch of money around, got his brother $500 million. His brother's gladly going to say that body that we seen inside, that's in that morgue or that's in that grave, he'll gladly say it was his brother. His brother gave him $500 million. Williams' father is the person that gave Jeffrey Epstein his start. CIA. This shit is not rocket science. It's easy for you guys to continue to blame the Israelis as if you really fucking think they're in control of everything. This is bigger than Nino Brown. Because before there was Israel, there was the 13 families who went and hijacked a whole nation, created a fiat currency, and then enslaved that population. That population would have to produce certificates of birth like a ship would. In order for that being, which is a vessel now, to be used on the market by this corporation. Jeffrey Epstein, he wrote this whole shit out. We're going to go through it right now. Wrote the whole shit out. Wrote the whole thing out. So this is shout out to Trap Ross and shout out to Dr. G Explains, because Dr. G went in and he went and looked at some stuff. But I just think that he may be a bit off because Dr. G's never been incarcerated. So when wondering why Jeffrey created this diaphragm to talk about everything, is because the only way for him, in my opinion, my professional opinion, for him to deal with the time that he was in there, having to deal with people with whom he felt was lesser than him, for his movements to be restricted when he spent so much time to freely roam around how he wanted to jettison how he wanted to. It was very frustrating being inside that unit. But make no mistake about it, the COs and everyone there that was on that tier gave him favorite treatment. I'm pretty sure he didn't eat like everyone else did, no matter what they may tell you, because that's their guy. It is impossible for him to have all of these political leaders there. And we're going to go through, I hope tomorrow, we're going to go through his sit down with Steve Bannon, who I don't understand. Why would you even sit with this pedophile? You're losing all credibility. Jeffrey produces this diagram. Now they believe he's planning an escape. No, he's not planning an escape. He's writing down the plans already. He's not planning it. This is not like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and this is how I'm going to escape from the building. No. He's telling us the whole process right here. Now let's go through the whole process. Jeffrey talks the whole process. The whole thing. He talks the whole thing. He writes it down. He does it because he needs this in order to keep himself sane. Like, okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it's something that he can go look over every single day to calm his nerves because he is sitting in a confinement. He does not like to be restricted, and he needs something to calm him down. So he had to write the plan down in order for him to see it in front of him so he could relax. Because without him seeing something physical in front of him, something tangible he can put his hands on to see, it's not a reality. It's not. This is a coping mechanism. Him writing down the plans is a coping mechanism. Because he's weak. He's strong in many places. Don't get me wrong. But him being in that cell and being restricted and unable to move how he wants to, it made him a very weak man. And I believe the United States government switched his body with a cadaver and moved that man around because that man, I believe, has done way too much for them, has been involved way too much. Soon as William Barr got in, boom, now he kills himself. So they got to lock him up. The whole shit was staged. Listen, we're going to lock you up, parade you around, blah, 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 blah. He's probably sitting in some Muslim country right now where they don't give a shit about what we're saying over here, where they see absolutely nothing about a Jeffrey Epstein's file, where they don't see none of that shit. We're so in a bubble that we think everyone around the world is seeing what we're talking about. They're not. They don't give a shit either. He could be sitting somewhere on a tropical island as fucking is, excuse my French, and no one would bat an eye, and they wouldn't even know who he is. You've seen all of the passports he had. If you think that's all he has, you're an idiot.
It says red notice, and they put equals EXT. Now, if you don't know what a red notice is, that's an alert that Interpol puts out if there is a fugitive on the loose. If there's someone that is internationally wanted, a red notice notifies agencies that if this person is found, then you extradite them back to the country where they are being looked for. So that's why it says red notice equals EXT. So if there's a red notice out for him, then he will be set up for extradition. That was my...
Now, for that, to break this down, so this is him... This is the reasoning for the plan of faking the death, right? Because then there will be a red notice, and then they will be looking out for him. Interpol will be looking out for him. So they have to do this in a way where Interpol and everyone else will not be involved. He needs to have the United States assistance in order for him to pull off this plan, which seems as if it's the exact same thing that all of the pieces to the puzzle was putting together.
My first clue that if we're looking at all of this in context, that he was planning on getting out of the country. That was his goal by writing all of this down. Now, from the red notice, there is an arrow pointing back up to this main circle right here. So that means that if he's MIA in the U.S., in other words...
Now, he's going to say MIA meaning missing in action. I'm going to believe he went to Florida in the United States of America, and that was the launching place for him to leave from leaving from the airport from New York. I believe he left from Florida. He went from New York to Florida and left from Florida.
If he's missing, so this would be shorthand basically saying he's missing. For anybody that's watching this that isn't from the U.S., I'm going to try my best to explain various acronyms the way that we would do them here. So MIA would be a way to say that he's missing. So if he's MIA in the U.S., then a red notice would occur. Then a red notice would be set out by Interpol.
Now, that's his explanation. I don't think so. I think the red notice in the extradition was his way of being able to say, this is why the plan makes sense. Because if not, then this is what happens. That's why that's centered in the middle. I believe that, and I'm going to get to why I believe that that's Miami. Even Trap Law says it too, but I believe it's Miami, USA. I believe that's why that's there.
He could be talking about Miami. There's I mean, MIA US could be trying to get to Miami to get out of the country maybe, but he's saying MIA, there will be an Interpol red notice if he is missing in action from the prison. No shit. Okay, well, the only way that you could be missing in action without anybody worrying about it and putting out a red...
Something I guess he was considering of the various branches of this. So visas would suggest that he's going to be planning on going out of the country. He would.
Now, once you get to Miami, his connect with the visas are there. He picks up the visas. That's the reason why visas are connected to MIA, to Miami, USA. That's why the visas are connected there, is because I believe that is where the connect for the visas will be to give him the new visas he will need to get out.
Need to fake his name. It would have to be fake.
This is CIA covert shit. You've all seen shit like this in the movies.
Visas, but he would need visas. Something I guess he was considering is that he wrote no rights. So it could be, depending on the country he goes to, his rights might be different. Interestingly, he wrote tourism here. Now, if he was planning on leaving the country, whether or not he would be posing as a tourist or whether or not he would be going to places that have tourism, there's some consideration about tourism because I'm pretty certain that's what that says.
Now, I believe him writing up there, no rights, I believe that means he's no longer as powerful as he was. And then when it goes to tourism, I believe that's him saying that he's going to travel and then he's going to have to pay, which is next, his in tax. His in tax is paying everybody, paying it all out, making sure everyone gets paid, making sure everything is done. I believe that's what it is. I believe that he is saying that he will no longer have the power that he had. He will travel, move around, see some stuff, but he's going to have to pay his in tax. And I believe that this also explains the in tax is just their way of being able to just pay their debts and be able to get going.
It says tourism or tourist. His handwriting is so bad. You'll see in a second where the confusion is there. Now up here it says EXT tax. It could be EST tax, but I think that what this is
he thinks this is an estate tax.
Estate tax. So in other words, if he is to die, how much money goes to estate tax, or that he's considering the estate tax right here. Another branch has banks, so obviously something that he's going to have to consider if he's going to have access to money. Now here's one that I am somewhat less confident in, is that there's a name written here with dollar signs next to it.
Now the banks is in question. The name that he's saying, I believe, with the dollar sign written next to it, is the bank contact. Is the bank contact is who he's going to be able to get the money from. That's the inside contact. He's just writing it down. It's just him saying, and just him saying again for, a second time, like, okay, yes, we got it. It's good to go. Don't have to worry about anything. Excuse me. It's just his way of just being able to, a lot of things he puts down is just his way. Again, he needs to see it in front of him. It has to be some form of, it has to be tangible in some way, somehow, for him to be able to sit in that cell for that amount of time and not lose his life. Since again, he is someone who moves around freely.
Put a question mark because I don't know what letter that is, but it does look like BLCH, like NIL or something like that, but this is very clearly a name and clearly associated with money. And below that, you can see it says guards.
Now, this is where everything starts to fit together. Watch. Under that, it says guards.
It says guards clear as day. That is 100% what this says. So whether or not that means that he needs guards, whether or not that has to do.
No, the guards are involved and paid. And I believe that the bank connect and the name under it is the person that got the money to the guards. I believe where it says red notice, I believe that is even possibly not Interpol or anything. I believe red notice could just be them saying the unalivement happened. That's the red notice. Because if you look at everything is kind of by something. MIA is by USA and it's by visas, and then it goes towards just other things that lead to stuff. Goes to banks, it goes to a name with money sign behind, then it goes to the guards. The money sign by the name is the guy who's the bag man that got the money to the guards. I believe the extradition is that he put there is the exit. I believe it's the guards giving him the exit. That's the reason why guards are right above exit extradition.
With prison guards, that's unclear, but that is very clearly stating guards right underneath this name and the dollar signs.
So look, there's a lot of different things that came. Video, he would examine these things further.
Thinking about whether or not we see it says jet-US.
And the fact, listen to this.
Now, on the right here, we see it says jet-US prop. Now, what that means is that he's thinking about whether or not the jet that he would be traveling in is U.S. property.
Now, how the hell could he believe he's going to have a U.S. property jet if the United States of America isn't involved in it? How would he get his hands on a United States jet if the United States of America isn't involved in it? Anytime a plane flies, there's a manifest list. Who's on the plane, what cargo's on the plane, all of that's on there. All of it. How could someone who is the most, or who could potentially be the most wanted man, if this was an escape plan, how could someone who would potentially be the most wanted man in history of this planet believe he would have access to a jet that's U.S. property? Not a plane, not a jet. That's U.S. property. He's trying to figure out if he's going to use his jet, someone else's.
Epstein and his associates were obsessed with aircraft registration, jurisdiction, things like that, and that's what jet U.S. prop would be. He's thinking about whether or not the jet he's traveling in is in fact U.S. property, because that does change some things jurisdictionally, as well as whether or not there's seizure and all of these other potential issues that could come up. So the fact that he's thinking about that is important. What else is important is that jet U.S. prop was written in a different color. Most of these were written in blue ink. Jet U.S. prop was written in black ink. Now, the reason that matters is that means that this was enough of a plan that where he wrote it out and he came back to it. It wasn't just sketched out and thrown away. He came back with additional thoughts later on.
Now look at the map. Look at the map. It says government clear. It says something Muslim. It says Mamba, something like that. Then they got the name Nicole. It got people. It got island. Then they got Nigeria. Then they got Brad. Now they're going to try to say like Teterboro, that's him leaving out of Teterboro and all that. No, I believe the whole I believe the whole square where you see Nigeria is him basically saying he's already out the country. And now maybe he left from Nigeria possibly with the United States plane, which isn't, this doctor here believing that somehow there would be some restrictions or something like that. Absolutely not. They're not going to fly one of their assets from out of here and then fly him somewhere where it's not friendly. That's just not how it works. It's not how it works. So even if, let's just say even if, right? Let's just say even if they're saying that this is Teterboro Airport, right? Jeffrey wrote down the guards. Why would he write down the guards? It's because he know the guards are paid and they're in on it. And there was suspicious activity with the correction officer's account who were supposed to be there that night. One of them which went and bought a motorcycle and some other shit.
On. Now below.
That's smart, right? Came back with a different pen.
Box with the word Brad on top. I'm going to scroll up so you can see it without my comments on it. So you see it's a little square with a little building next to it, and on the left I interpret this as an airplane, at least I believe that's what it is, or it could be additional buildings, but it very, very clearly has the word Brad written on top. And then below it and to the right of it, you see what I interpret as supposed to be where cars.
Now I want to check something real quick. I want to see if anyone in the chat could talk to me about any airport starting with Brad. Nobody got any ideas? Nobody got any ideas? Now, if that's not an airport, I believe that could be his contact that he would have to talk to when at this airport and landing at this airport.
And planes are parked. I think this right here is a little airplane. So when I saw this, I immediately thought it looked like a private airport because this shape and design of the building is unusual. Airports are low.
And it also looks
large.
like
It's a
over
very
here,
distinct look.
where it looks
So
like
I
an
was
upside
curious
down
what the
cross. That looks
closest
like a
private
little
airport is.
runway.
The closest private airport to where he was is Teterboro. It also is one of the busiest.
Ironically, right, if you remember from the
On everything else he's saying and getting out of there. And the name Brad is associated with that. Who that is that a pilot? Is that somebody who would help him get there? That's unclear, but the name Brad is very, very clearly written on top of that airport. And you may be thinking, well, he's just fantasizing about escaping, and that may be part of it. I think the unusual...
He's not fantasizing about escaping, because what we'll do is, let me see, we're going to end it now. Tomorrow, we're going to come right back to this, and then we're going to go over his financials and show how he was very meticulous in making sure that he took his money and moved all of his money around, and a lot of his money went offshore. So stay tuned, stay safe, stay healthy, stay American, and remember, it's both sides. Two dirty wings on the same dirty, dirty, dirty bird. Been telling you this now for over 10 years. My catchphrase. This is what I've been telling you from the start. It's both sides, two dirty wings on the same dirty, dirty bird. They let that man do all those horrible things to all those women and children. They allowed him to do that shit with immunity. They went and allowed him to escape out of custody. And then now he's somewhere in the tropics. And then the whole goal of this is the piece of shit that was with him is asking for the president to give a clemency so she can then say everything about everything. What he should do is find the darkest, deepest, dirtiest jail we have and put her ass in there until she decides to come out and start speaking. Two could play that game. Give her ass what y'all did to me. Move her from one jail to another constantly over and over and over again for no fucking reason. As soon as a commissary comes, tell her to pack her shit up and move to another jail. Well, she's gonna have to throw away all the fucking commissary and start all over again. Do that shit for a few months and let's see how she changed her damn mind. Can't believe these people. All demons.
I've been a patient here now for close to a year. I wanted the best care. I wanted consistent care. Sometimes you can go to places and when you do the reviews, you'll see, oh, you know, it's okay. Well, if this person is working, it's bad. But when you check the reviews on the Smile Doctor, it's all positive. As soon as you walk in the door, I was always made to feel like I was a priority. It can give you a great experience. The televisions on the ceilings almost give you a euphoric flying feeling. They find out what music you like. So even the music of choice that you do like, it's playing when you walk in. I had a debilitating tooth issue that was actually going to start eating away at my bone marrow. And Dr. Reed caught it very early on. He removed the bad tooth. The surgery was easy, it was painless. I have two brand new teeth, and like I said, they're very attentive. So they're gonna measure your discomfort, they're gonna measure what pain you may have, and they're gonna deal with it. It's just a beautiful and positive environment. The experience here is unlike anything else I've ever went to, and I just encourage anybody out there, if you're watching this, come see the facility. Come listen to how quiet it is. Come listen to how happy the people are when they're exchanging words to each other. Come experience what it is to actually come and smile with confidence. Come to the Smile Doctor.